Adjective noun agreement, Spanish 1, Chapter 1b. Today we're going to be talking about adjective noun agreement in Spanish. There is a corresponding worksheet to this video, so please make sure you are filling it in at the same time you are watching it. So first, we're going to talk about some trivia. So the Spanish language. Where did the Spanish language derive from? So it actually derived from the language Latin, and over 75% of the Spanish words come from the Latin language. So now we are going to talk about the letters O and the letters A. Last week we talked about the endings of nouns when we went over our definite and indefinite articles. So remember, if a noun ended in the letter O, then it was referring to a boy or it was masculine. Versus if it ended in an A, it was girl or feminine. So the same rule applies to adjectives as well. If you look at the adjectives for this chapter, when you had to copy them down, a majority of them ended in O and it had the letter A in parentheses. And you guys are going to see why in a few minutes. So, as an example, we have our word artistic. So if we were talking about someone who is artistic and they were a boy, we're going to use the word artístico. So again, artístico matches, it ends in an O and we are talking about a male. Now, if I want to talk about an artistic girl, what do you think I would switch that O to? If you guessed the letter A, then you are correct. So we're going to change the letter O to a letter A so that now it matches with the noun we are talking about. So since we are talking about a girl, we need our adjective artistic to match the noun of whom we are talking about. So if I wanted to say artistic girl in Spanish and I was describing her, I would say artística. So again, it will end in an A. So if you were looking at your vocab, again, most ended in O with the A parentheses. So now you understand why. Depending on who my subject is, if a person is a boy or a female, or if my noun is masculine or feminine, I'm going to be changing that O to an A so that it agrees with who I am talking about. But what about if an adjective ends in an E? What do you think I'm going to do then? So, if an adjective ends in an E, it can refer to either gender. So it can go one way or the other. You don't have to change anything to it. Again, it's kind of like a gender neutral adjective where you don't have to do any changes. So the E is not going to change to an A, nor is the E going to change to an O. These ones are a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about doing anything to the ending. Again, it can refer to either gender. So we have 4 in this chapter's vocabulary. I want you guys to pause the video, head back over to your chapter vocab, and I want you to find the 4 adjectives that end in an E. All right, welcome back. So our adjectives are impaciente or impatient, inteligente or intelligent or smart, sociable, which means outgoing, and then paciente, which means patient. So if I wanted to talk about a girl who is intelligent, I would use inteligente. If I wanted to talk about a boy who is intelligent, I would still use inteligente. You do not have to do anything to these adjectives. So now we're going to talk about the few exceptions that we have in this chapter. So in Spanish, we're always going to have some exceptions or some irregularities. So looking at our first one, the first word is deportista. So notice deportista ends in an A, which we would think, okay, that's feminine. So we have to be talking about a female who's sports-minded. Well, you can actually use this one for either or. So this can refer to a boy or a girl. So again, this is an exception. Deportista can refer to a male or a female who is sports-minded. Our next one we're going to talk about, going off of deportista because a lot of students want to do this. Deportisto is not a word. Again, deportisto, not a word in Spanish. So, as we said before, deportista works for male or female. You do not change the N. Deportisto is not a word. We have two more exceptions. So, our first one is trabajador. Trabajador refers to a boy, but it doesn't have an O at the end. So again, trabajador, or our word for hardworking, our adjective, refers to a male, although it does not have an O at the end. Whereas, our other exception, trabajadora, refers to a girl. So again, trabajadora, ending in an A, it is an adjective talking about a hardworking female, versus trabajador is an adjective talking about a hardworking male. So overall, we need to know that in Spanish, our adjective needs to agree with our noun. So if our noun is masculine or feminine, then our adjective needs to be masculine or feminine. We are going to continue practicing this for the next few days. So you guys can now end the video and go back into your work, and we are going to practice adjective noun agreement in Spanish.